and welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. You're watching Daily Dive. It is Friday, December the 6th, 2024. I am your host, Michael Carvelis, in Guyton, Georgia. Producer Joe is somewhere behind the scenes in Banditland, New York. We're live on 12 Ounce Sports via Twitter/X and YouTube. Reminder to subscribe to the 12 Ounce Sports channel while you're here for other great shows and live sports. On today's awesome show, we're going to have our guest Adam Levi today as he will hype up a few games for the upcoming NLL weekend and the week in general. We'll also have a betting preview as I will tell you some interesting differences across some books. And finally, Mike and Producer Joe's Week 2 Pick'em. Producer Joe is the reigning Preston's Picks winner of the week. So that's awesome. We want to first let you know that this show is presented by tickets.12ouncesports.com. That's tickets.numbers12 letters OZsports.com. Get your National Lacrosse League tickets for less by going to that website, and they feature not just the NLL, but every sport and all your favorite artists' concerts, not to mention Broadway and theater if you're into that kind of stuff. Tickets.12ouncesports.com. And it is without further ado that I bring in a good pal, a friend, Adam Levi. Now go ahead.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm in shambles without Producer Joe, apparently, but I'm doing great, Adam.
Well, it's good to be here for another Friday. Amazing to be here always. Talking some NLL action. It's interesting because you keep mentioning Guyton, Georgia. Didn't realize how small the town was. Less than 4,000 people. You're in a little place.
It's growing, but we always just say Savannah. It's an hour from Savannah, if that helps anybody.
How is Southern Cafe? The reviews look good.
It's literally, I live right behind it.
Nice, cool.
I literally walk outside and say I'm going to McDonald's and say nope, I'm going to Southern Cafe. It's again smell in my backyard. It's nice.
So did you just dox yourself? I don't understand. What just happened here? You just
right. No, I've had that a few times. I'm good over here. You can Google anybody, Adam.
Yeah.
By the way, I know you just released some Lacrosse Matrix podcast stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know you also, I think Preston's Picks was out early this week, actually.
Yeah, my wife was in Vancouver visiting our eldest son. She returns today, so we got that out of the way. Cool. I definitely wouldn't even consider trying to do Preston's Picks without help. So need to get that done first. And I guess since you brought it up, I'll just get it out of the way because I assume you were going to ask about it. Preston picked the Las Vegas Desert Dogs to win tonight. Then he went with the Halifax Thunderbirds, the Albany Firewolves, the Buffalo Bandits, and the Georgia Swarm.
I mean, there was, again, bold picks, but I mean, last week was kind of a rough one because no one went undefeated, even though Producer Joe did win it. I was happy to hear about that, but...
Yeah, and he's got, I'm sorry he's not here, but he's, aside from the $51 donation in his name to the Tucker Williams Braver Than Brave Memorial Fund, he also has won a Chase Frazier Loading Lacrosse t-shirt. Works out perfect for a Buffalo Bandits fan, so when that is in the mail, he'll be very happy.
I love it. Let's get right into it, Adam. Oh, and also one other thing I want to mention, you were on Blue Squatch Productions with Steven Stamp, correct?
Yeah, that's actually going to be, I believe it's going to be a weekly thing, which is going to be awesome. Stamper and Greg Beecher, who's on Blue Squatch Productions, they had thought of this idea. We had talked about doing a podcast or something, Stamper and I, and so it was awesome that Greg was on board to do this. And
good.
I love working with Stamper. He's really, the work I do with him for IL Indoor, it's incredible. He's an incredible wealth of knowledge, so smart when it comes to the National Lacrosse League and all the ins and outs of summer ball. So I love working with him, and it's just another way to talk lacrosse. So Yeah, it's just probably about the 10th or 11th thing I do a week for to promote the game. But I love it. I love talking about the sport, and I love the guys.
I love that as well. Speaking of love, the Albany Firewolves gained a new fan. I believe. Oh, what was that newspaper called? So I believe the Manchester Journal, or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, it might not have been Manchester, but you get it. Like some Albany reporters said he went there to watch the Firewolves and came out a fan of the NLL. So
Yeah,
speaking, and now, by the way, I got to ask you about that because weren't you at that game last weekend?
I was, and
How electric was it?
so I posted a video right from the stands after a goal, and it
Right.
was loud. I think I
Yeah.
had asked Colton Watkinson after the game if he had remembered a time that had been that loud, because I was in it and I'd been there a ton last year, and it was, you can say what you want about the numbers and things like that and how many people actually showed up. I think something that's incredibly important that the numbers don't necessarily tell you is how many fans are really excited and passionate and really into the team. And there were a ton of people that were there that seemed to really know the game. They were really behind
Love
the
it.
Firewolves. They weren't just first time fans coming in, sitting down, being like, what am I doing here? What's happening? These were people who like knew players, like they knew what was going on. Like it was a lot of fun, and it's a exciting thing to see, especially with the Firewolves and MVP Arena over the summer agreeing to a 3-year deal.
Yeah, that was nice as well. So let's talk Firewolves, and they're gonna, they went from like plus 145
Mm-hmm.
against the Rock, and I know you're not the betting guy, but it's down to plus 105 on
Mm-hmm.
Coolbet Canada, because the Rock are kind of hurting, and it's very unfortunate. But tell us all about this game, Adam. What can we expect?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be so interesting to see what happens with the Rock, and unfortunate that this is their home opener in their newest new home that they have, Paramount Fine Foods,
Oh,
there in Mississauga. It's gonna, to be missing Tom Schreiber, Latrell Harris, Challen Rogers, Brad Cree, not due to injury, Brad Cree, TD Erlin. I had asked a few analysts, some guys that you know very well, and we all know in the lacrosse world, if they had remembered a time that the Rock had been missing this many players, and the reality is that no one could think of it. There were people on social media saying, well, there was what Cloutier and Byrne and Fraser that
yeah.
missed for Buffalo, but nothing. We've really never seen something to this extent. It doesn't happen very often, and it's very unfortunate that it's happening. However, Coach Sawyer has told me that they have faced adversity before through injury, and it's going to provide so many opportunities for guys to step up. You saw Brian Cameron, a rookie, have his first goal last game. That was great. And I think that that's going to be incredibly valuable for those guys to get experience. We actually talked about it last year with the Buffalo Bandits, how when they were missing guys, that was so valuable come playoff time, because when they needed those guys to step up, they knew they could handle the situation because they had enough playing time to do so. And so hopefully that happens here when the Rock gets healthy, and then they have those guys that maybe you didn't know were on the team, or hadn't been on your radar before, that they're going to step up. So I really hope that that happens for them. As for Albany, I think obviously everyone's going to keep their eyes on Dyson Williams. Would love to see him score more than one goal on 9 shots on
Right.
goal. But then Alex Simmons was great. He was so good again. Like the way he commands the floor, the way he just has so much confidence out there, love it. So I think that the Firewolves, they had some things to clean up, penalties being one of them from the last game. I know that Colton Watkinson was asked post game about the penalties, and he was really just like no comment, and then moved on. So um, it was there are things that the Firewolves, excuse me, need to work on, but I know that they'll be prepared for this game, and they're not going to want to fall 0-2.
Yeah. No. You mentioned Alex Simmons. Wouldn't it be great marketing if the MVP was an MVP arena? I mean, just
That would
throwing
be
it out to the
very
wind.
if he keeps playing like he did last weekend, he'll continue to be in the conversation. I'm sure Connor Fields will have something to say about that after his week one. But yeah,
Right.
Alex Simmons, like he really is as advertised. It's going to be very exciting to see how his career continues to go upward.
Question: do you think this game will be low scoring, or do you think now it could be like a shootout? And also, like Taylor Hendricks is another name I wanted to throw out there as a newer guy who could also score for the Rock. But go ahead.
Yeah. I think it's going to be probably a lower scoring game, mostly because like you still have Nick Rose and Doug Jamieson in
Right.
net. So like I know that for defensively for the Rock, that they don't have some guys that they wish they could be there, but they still also do have a lot of their pieces, including Mitch DeSnew, who will be in front of Nick Rose. So I think, and also, if I remember correctly, the games that these two played, the game that they played last year was low scoring. Someone can fact check me on that. I'm sure you will. But it's one of those things that I think when you got two elite goaltenders, you should never expect it to be a high scoring shootout.
Yeah, Dr. DeSnew. I love saying that, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm checking it now just because it's great, television when people do this on air. But Albany versus Toronto last year. How did you pick that out of your brain like that? Where'd you get that from?
No, I literally just looked it up. I mean, this is what I do literally all day. I
went on ALOstats.com and somehow yours worked faster than mine. I can't stand you, man. All right. So the next game that could be very intriguing is the last game on Saturday. And they all kind of start at the same time. At 8 o'clock on Saturday Eastern Time is the San Diego Seals at the the Duluth, Georgia Swarm. Gotta ask you though, goalie matchup right here, man. Are we another defensive battle, right?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'm really excited. There's so many questions about the Georgia Swarm. Who, I was talking about this with Stamper on our show, where, first of all, we haven't seen Georgia play this season. So what are they going to be like? There's questions about, what are we going to see from Lyle Thompson, who does so much on the floor last year. Points wise wasn't what he probably would have hoped, but his ceiling has been so high. I think like 4 or 500 or 100-point seasons that he's had already in the National Lacrosse League. So 87, but with his loose balls, which was like over 110, I believe, and his caused turnovers and things like that. I mean, he can do it all. So, how are he and Q going to work together again? But then it was really exciting last year, and you want to see the progress for guys like Seth Oakes. How is he going to step up? Yeah. Then you've got a guy in Seth Van Scheppen who just came onto the team. He hasn't really proven himself as the way that people have expected him to. He is a former first-round pick, former top 10 pick, I believe, in the 2022 draft. So, it's going to be interesting to see how he develops there. Now, Jeff Henrik is another guy on defense who hasn't lived up to his potential, his full potential yet on the defensive side of the ball. Another top 10 pick back in the 2020 draft. And so with Adam Wiedemann there, TJ Comizio, Brett Dobson, who has proven that he is just an elite goaltender in the field game and in the box game, it is going to be very exciting to see. I know Chris O'Riglieri, even though he was great, are much better, especially in that second half and the last 3 quarters of the game against Philadelphia. Yeah. That first quarter is something that he'll never want to have happen again, letting up 8 goals. So I do expect him to have a bounce back performance, kind of more like we saw in that second half there. And then for Brett Dobson, it's just going to be seeing more of his evolution.
They had to call Sasquatch Mike Poulin out of the wilderness to come in that game for the Seals last weekend.
Yes, right? I see you're looking at the Instagram. Yes, at
Twitter
_Levi_LAX. Yeah, that was I forget who. I think it was First Line Lacrosse who had posted the picture of Mike Poulin, and then I was right. Like, I think that looks like Sasquatch, and I was able to find one, and it really worked out. So, but yeah, the San Diego. on the latest episode of the Lacrosse Matrix podcast, which you can go check out on Spotify. Also find it on Lacrosse Culture Daily, which is an incredible partner of the podcast. He was talking all about, how the younger guys, particularly like Trent DeChico, who was so valuable for that team with 3 assists in the last game, but it was more than just the assists. He could really do it all. And I had asked him actually, because the way that he was and the way that I saw him and the way that it seems like the Seals view him is that he's kind of Zach Courier potential. And I actually texted Zach about that, and Zach was like, "Yeah, he's so similar to me. It's kind of crazy how their playing styles are like that." So, you got to see it in his first game, and there was a lot of high hopes for Trent DeChico. But if he can continue to do a little bit of everything with the loose balls, with the gritty defense, with supporting in the offense, like if he can become a Zach Courier and learn from Zach Courier on how to be a Zach Courier, that is a scary thought.
Oh, absolutely. By the way, if I'm freezing for people, it's because my internet just loves taking a crap. Anyways, so I was just saying that because I noticed he was doing that. But Zach Courier had a good game last weekend as well. But I want to touch on, will Ryan Benesch lead this team in points? Because I assumed it was going to be Wesley Berg. Apparently, Benny has got a little bit left in the tank that we didn't know about.
Yeah, it seems like he is re-energized. Really seems like all of these older guys for NLL terms are really having this resurgence. Rob Hellier had a great game, but Ryan Benesch, I mean, last year he had a great year. I think it was 42 goals or something like that.
Yeah.
And that I'd have to ask a good friend and also the well-respected Graham Perro to see how many 38-year-olds have scored 40-plus goals. Obviously, Callum Crawford, one of those for sure, but he really, was excited about this new journey in San Diego, very excited to be joining this team, really thinks that they're a contender, and he knows that he has to play up to a certain level in order for them to be that. And I think that that's what he kind of showed us he could do. So it would be amazing if that could continue. But I would also say, Wes is a leader on that team and will do what he has to make them successful. Yeah. And so maybe the fact that he wasn't one of the names that people were talking about in the same way as Ryan Benesch and others in that game is something that should be feared around the National Lacrosse League, because we know what Westberg can do.
Yeah, the big the bird. I don't know. I'm thinking of a name over here. It's not working. I got to ask you, since we're doing Preston's picks earlier, what are Levy's picks for those 2 games that we talked about, Albany, Toronto, and Georgia, San Diego?
So Toronto, it's really, I feel so terrible that they're going for these injuries. But yeah. With all those injuries and with Albany having a really heartbreaking loss in week 1, I think that they just pull it out. I think that's how it's going to be. I think it's going to be rough goings for the Rock for a little bit here,
okay.
But I think it's going to be character building for them, and I don't think that they're going to feel down about it or anything like that. They're just going to bounce back when the time is right, and they're still going to be a playoff team. They're still going to be very good, hoping, obviously, that these injuries don't persist throughout the season. And then for the other game, I think San Diego really did, and I know so many people had them at the top or near the top of the power rankings, and after that first quarter, after those early nerves, I think that we really did start to see a much better San Diego team. And so I think that whatever Georgia brings to the table, I think that San Diego is the better team, at least from what we know. And so I'm going to go with them.
Offense. When it cooks, it boils, baby. Love it.
Oh my goodness. It's the amount of options that they have is crazy. And if those guys can continue to deliver, it's awesome.
Can't wait. It's going to be a good weekend. Thanks for coming on as always. I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I am available every Friday that you need me to
be. Go Fridays. Go Fridays. Thank you, Adam Levy, for everything you do. Listen to Lacrosse Matrix podcast. Join Preston's picks if you're late to the party, unfortunately. All kind of good stuff. Thank you, Adam, for all that you do, man.
Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate always coming on, and thank you for all you do. I was actually going to ask you, what would happen if you became you were not the only Monday to Friday sport lacrosse talk show? What would happen?
So I thought about that. Me and producer Joe have actually thought about this. He doesn't like the idea. I don't mind it because I like the idea of the first Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show, maybe. But I also like the idea of bouncing off topics and just like obviously it would be natural we would do that, right?
Right, but also if someone else did a Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show, would you take out the competition?
Iron sharpens iron, baby. I'm not here to bring them down. I'm here to be the best. What are you talking about?
I love it. I love it. There you go. There's your clip for the people on the internet.
You saw it. Thank you, Adam.
Have a good one.
Adam Levy is awesome, but you knew that. Great follow on Twitter and Instagram, Adam_Levy_LAX. That's the Instagram handle, obviously. Alrighty. When we come back to this awesome show, we're going to get into a betting preview. There's a little bit of differences on the books this week. We'll talk about what they are next on Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
America, get back on track with Dust Pod's Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water, Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, baby, we're back. So, I don't know if you knew this, but we have an audio-only podcast version of this show. Go to Spotify and search Daily Dive or click the link in our social media bios. And as you know, I have a radio face, but that's okay. Let's get to it. It's time for the betting preview. Shout out to our good friend, Pat Gregoire, who did try to make this work today, but he is traveling because he is a man of awesomeness and he has to broadcast NLL games. But he has provided some bets for the show, which I will unveil at the end of this B block here. So we appreciate Pat once again for just being available and always being supportive of this show. Okay, but without further ado, let's get into our betting preview. The first game, obviously, is the Colorado Mammoth at the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, and that is, of course, 2 nights at 10:30 Eastern on ESPN Plus and such. Mammoth are favored by 1.5. The total's at 22.5. and that is the same on DraftKings and FanDuel, by the way. So this game feels like a couple of bets can be made here, in my opinion. And obviously we'll give you the best bets at the end of the show, but a couple of ones that are interesting here. Colorado's Dylan Ward is still unproven this year. Just see the start of the Vancouver game. And Las Vegas still has Landon Kells, who is not the... I like Landon Kells. I just don't think he's a top... He's a top 8 goalie. I just don't think he is. So that's interesting. Las Vegas' money line is plus 120 on DraftKings and plus 128 on FanDuel, but it's around the 120 range. Here's the thing. I think we're looking at a shootout here. And if I had to choose one, I guess I'm leaning towards Colorado with the spread there. I don't know if Vegas can hold the Mammoth to enough goals where they can catapult past them. Even though I do think Vegas' offense will be better than it has been in the past with the addition of Jonathan Donville, a.k.a. Producer Donnie, a.k.a. Media Sensation, alongside Jack Hanna. But the over 22.5 seems a little bit juicy right there, and so I like that a little bit. Next up, we got 4 games. All the rest of the 4 games are tomorrow, Saturday nights, starting at 5 o'clock, the lone 5 o'clock game. Halifax Thunderbirds hosting the Calgary Roughnecks. For those that do not know, Jake Withers, again, will not be in this game. He is suspended for last season's antics during the playoff game against Albany. I think it was Albany. So Halifax is not going to have anybody on the face-off dot. And this is not just a random anybody. This is a guy who dominates the face-off dots. And I do think when momentum is shifting, that matters. Could we see a mixture of Graham Hossick among others? Possibly. As for the Calgary Roughnecks, they got Cam McLeod, not Christian Del Bianco. But guys, I see a lot of people picking Halifax. Even Producer Joe, as you'll find out in our next segment, picked Halifax. I'll be honest, I don't see it. Calgary, to me, if Cam McLeod has a pulse, he's not a terrible goalie. I've looked up on NLSstats.com, the website by Graham Perro. In games where he's played at least 30 minutes, and I believe all of it is relief, he's not looked bad. There was one game where Rochester scored 19 goals against Panther City, and he allowed just 11 of them in like 47 minutes, and Nick DeMuto allowed like 8 in like 14 minutes. So it's like, the guy's not terrible. And I think he can hold this game close. Our good friend, Pat Gregoire, for the Vegas game, did say Vegas +2, so I guess he wouldn't mind +1.5, maybe. And, of course, Jack Hanna over 1.5 goals. That was for the last game. He also likes the over 23.5 in this game. I also agree with that because Halifax Warren Hill is not the greatest goalie either. So I would not mind seeing the offense go crazy. 23.5 sounds like a pretty decent bet there. And it is that way on FanDuel and DraftKings. But yeah, over here, and I would not mind the Calgary +130 on the money line in this game either. Next up, we have the 2 7 o'clock games, Albany-Toronto and then Buffalo-Rochester. For the Albany Firewolves, if you're not taking the plus money, you're shooting yourself in the foot with your wallet. You're shooting your wallet straight in the face. That's what this looks like for this game. This thing was at +145 on CoolBet. It's now at +105. The quicker you are to bet these things, the better you'll be with the line. Because I can, if enough people are listening to the show and other markets out there, they will see that Albany at plus money could be a steal. So if enough people are going towards that, the lines will actually change, and we might actually get like a minus at that point, and that's not what you want to do. You want the plus money because that's a lot of times you're beating Vegas at that point. Pat Gregoire also likes that money line play. I think the under 22.5 could be a thing here. It's 21.5 on DraftKings. Excuse me, on FanDuel. That's another interesting thing. That's a different line. 21.5. So if you think it's going to sneak over, 21.5 on FanDuel is the place to get it at. But I originally kind of liked the under, and I know I just said that, but I'm like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, Dyson, Alex Simmons, Ty Kurtz, The Rock, you hope they can score 5 goals, right? It feels like I like these goaltenders, but over 21.5, that can't be too hard to attain, right? And, of course, this game might end 10-9 Firewolves, but whatever. Albany money lines to play right there until you can't get any more plus money. And, of course, like I said, Bandits and Rochester was the other 7 o'clock game. Listen, these games have been close historically, and they've been high scoring historically. I like the over 24.5. You also have it at 25.5 on FanDuel. I don't know if I go that high, but we might start sneaking over that 24, 25, 26 threshold. I think over 24.5 is the play right there. And as you'll see who my pick is on the other side. But also, Rochester defense is not terrible. They shake Rose and the floodgates are open. I agree with that. Because then it becomes a blowout at that point. And I'm with Adam Levy. The Toronto Rock might fall flat on their face before they get back up this year. Of course, 12 on Sports saying Mike doxed himself. That was in the first segment. I forgot to show that. And finally, for the 8 o'clock game, we got San Diego, Georgia. 22.5 is a low score, man. I think San Diego's offense could put this Georgia team in misery. I know Georgia's an unknown. I know we have Chris Aguilera against Brett Dobson. I'm not buying that. I know they're both top 5 goalies, and I know I've praised them both. San Diego's offense is way too good, and Georgia's offense is potent enough. I think over 22.5 is the play. Also would not mind seeing the Seals cover. When we come back to this awesome show, I'm going to give myself a water break first of all. But we're going to give our pick'em and best bets. Producer Joe and myself went 1-1 on best bets last week. I've got 3 of them this week. Producer Joe won Preston's pick. So what should you pick? Find out next on Daily Dive. We're going to wrap it up.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
America, get back on track with Dust Pod's Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water, Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUSTPODS or visit dustpods.com today.
What up, everybody? It's producer Joe, the baddest daddy in producing history, here to tell you all about the baddest, daddiest merch store. Go to the link tree in the bios of either our IG or Twitter, and from there you can access merch for the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show on the internet. I repeat, the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show on the internet. We got hoodies for when your girl comes over and wants to cuddle. Just don't let her take it when she leaves. How about a Baddest Daddy cap for when you lie about how much you hate Mike in this show, but you're still here? We've got beanies so you can do that in the cold too. Guys, what's going to happen when all these moms see you dropping your kid off at practice in this thing? Want to sip like a daddy and feel like a baddie? Check out that mug. 6-time NLL champ Johnny T and savior of my Buffalo sports childhood knows what I'm talking about. Guys, I'm really going to need you to start buying shit because I'm getting sick of doing Instacart. But yeah, go check it out so you can start repping and supporting the brand. Producer Daddy out.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When today's show ends and you are getting your tickets for the next game, buy them for less at tickets.12onsports.com. That's tickets.numbers12 sports.com. You will not regret seeing things live knowing you got your tickets for a good price. It is time for week 2 of Pick'em. Last week, producer Joe won Preston's picks. So money was donated in his name in the amount of $51 to the Tucker Foundation. I forgot what the thing's called. That's so terrible of me. And also, he won a Chase Fraser Loading Lacrosse shirt. So that's awesome. Week 2 picks. We differ on just one game again. But last week, producer Joe took the pudding in that one. This week, we both have Colorado. We both have Albany. We both have Buffalo. We both have San Diego. I picked Calgary. He picked Halifax. Them's are fighting words. But yeah, I think Colorado destroys the Deader Dogs in a shootout. I think the Roughnecks upset the Thunderbirds and show people that Camaclado is not terrible and they can beat the okay teams. Albany, I thought they were going to be a healthy Rock team, but now I think they're going to beat Rock pretty good. Bandits and Nighthawks concerns me. I still think Bandits win that game. And the Seals, I think, are going to pull away from the Swarm in like a 14-11 kind of game. Our best bets of the weekend. Last week, we both went 1-1. Colorado, Las Vegas, over 22.5. You can find that at -115 on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Buffalo, Rochester, over 24.5 on DraftKings at -125. And the Firewolves money line is still smoking hot at +130 on DraftKings. I'm checking that right now. It is still 130. They are absolutely insane. Even FanDuel's at +115. So, yeah. And, of course, producer Joe's got the boys, a.k.a. Bandits, to cover 1.5 against Rochester. That's plus money on FanDuel. Seals -1.5 against the Swarm. That's plus money on FanDuel. So there you go. Producer Joe's got a plus money for you right there, which is awesome to see. Well, we really do appreciate you watching this show, as always. If you are here for the first time, be sure to come back, and you can also comment, like we had today, a few of them. El Cap E-Train Pick says Georgia offense isn't something to sleep on either. Of course, you have Lyle Thompson, who's not even a captain this year, and that's a little bit interesting, to say the least. But thanks again for watching this show. Reminder that you are the bread, you are the butter, you are the bronchitis to my show, because, boy, I was struggling today. But thank you for tuning in. For amazing guests like ones before, like Adam Levy today, and the Ghost of Pat Gregoire, and those to come. And we got some good ones. Thank you for coming on the show, sharing your audience with us, giving us validity and relevance. For the baddest daddy in producing history, who was not here today for some reason, producer Joe, that's so mean of me. I'm your host, Mike, saying have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday, same time, same place, 12 on Sports. This has been Daily Dive. Have a good one, guys.
He's gay, but he has a special connection to classical music. There's many things that
Thanks for watching Daily Dive. See you next time.